So for each problem, find all the points of absolute minima and absolute maximum. So the possibilities, so absolute minima and maximum can occur at endpoints or critical points. So I get these candidates that I'm going to check. Look at number one. So we're just looking between -3 and -1. So that's our interval. I'm just saying what's the biggest y value in there and the smallest y value in there. Well, the biggest point. The point with the biggest y value. The point with the smallest y value. So I have two candidates right away. -3 comma something. -1 comma something. My first job is to find the y value that goes with those points. I don't have to do that first. Doesn't matter what order really. Let's plug in those two numbers into the equation and see what we get. So take a second and do that. It's 6 for the first one. 5. If I plug in -3, you 5. Plug in -1. Then -1 comma 3.
Yeah.
You guys agree with those? You see what I'm doing to get those? Do you agree with those? Are we good here? All I'm doing is plugging those into the original equation. It typically won't be that annoying to plug into, but it could be. Okay, so now I gotta find critical points. So what do I do? Take the derivative. So -3x² minus 10x minus 8. If there were a top and a bottom, I would set them both equal to 0. There's not, so I'm just gonna move from here. I've got to solve that. This is kind of a tougher one to solve. I'm gonna have to factor this. Well, you could use quadratic formula. I don't think anyone really wants to do that. So I'm gonna factor it. I don't want to factor with a negative sign in front, so I'm gonna rewrite it like negative and then 3x² plus 10x plus 8. It's just easier for me to factor if that front number is positive. And then it's kind of a tougher factor when it's more of like a guess and check method. So I know that 3x² has to come from, it must be 3x times x, right? That's the only possibility. But then the 8, it could be 8 times 1, and it could be the 8's here and the 1's here, or it could be the 1's here and the 8's here. It could be 4 times 2, and they could be in either spot. It could be -4 and -2, and they could be in either spot. It could be -8 and -1, and they could be in either spot. So I'll give you a second to try and figure out what goes in what spot to make, because you're trying to make the middle term 10x after you FOIL, you know? So if you put 2 there and 4 there, right? 3x plus 4. So when you FOIL this, what's this times this? xx, and what's this times this? 4x, and what are the two add up to? It's 10x. So that's what you're looking for. And then it's factored, and I'm going to solve it. So negative, this is basically saying negative 1 equals 0. Never happens. This is saying 3x plus 4 equals 0, which would give me x equals negative 4/3. And this one is saying x plus 2 equals 0, which would give me x equals negative 2. If you got a solution that wasn't between negative 1 and negative 3, you would ignore it. So like if I solved this and got x equals 7, I would just completely disregard it. Because 7 is not in between the 2 points that we're looking for. Okay? And then these two just become more candidates. So I'm going to check negative 4/3. And I'm going to check negative 2. I'm just going to save us all some time and annoyance. Negative 4/3 is not the answer. And I don't want to plug that into that. And you don't want to either. So let's just skip it. Because it's not the answer. But I would be technically checking that to see if it's the biggest or the smallest. And if I plug in negative 2, I think this one matters. You get 3, right? So these two are the min, and the way you would phrase it, absolute min is 3, occurs at x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 2. So the minimum y value is 3. And it just happens to occur twice, like a tie. It occurs at negative 1 and negative 2. This would be your max because that's the highest y value. So the absolute max is 5. Occurs at negative 3. So you're just plugging in a bunch of points to the original equation to figure out which one's the y value, which one's the highest and lowest y value. And what you're plugging in are the endpoints and the critical points. Fair enough on what I did on that one? We'll do another one. Yeah, another. Because I don't know how to solve that otherwise. That's just what, like in this situation, I didn't know what else to do to solve it. You can just write them as points, but if if Khan says where does the min occur, you have to know that they're referring to the x value. You know what I mean? Did that answer your question fair enough? Like if it comes out 2x plus 4 equals 0, I don't have to factor that. I can just solve it. It's just like what gets presented to me. I kind of got to look and see what I got to do to solve that. And I don't know what else to do with that besides quadratic formula. To get to pick these numbers, basically, you're just guessing and checking. So if I did it wrong, so what was it, 3x squared plus 10x? Let's see, this is probably worth going through a little bit. Let's say I tried 8 and 1. Because what does 8 times 1 give me? It gives me 8. Well, what's 3x times 1 then? When I go to FOIL, that's 3x. And 8 times x is 8x. And if I add these two up, it doesn't fit, it doesn't match. I don't get 11x. So then I'm just like, okay, that didn't work. I'm going to try something else. And I just keep trying different combinations until it works. It's just like a guess and check puzzle, basically. I think they're fun. Most people probably don't. But any other questions on 1 there? So let's try 2. I know I've got 1. I know I've got 4. And I'm going to do the critical points first, and I'll just check them all at once at the end. So the derivative in this one is negative 2x plus 4. And so that's a lot friendlier, that's a lot easier to solve, right? So I'm going to set that equals 0. Negative 2x equals negative 4. And so x equals 2. So that's just the third candidate. I have my 2 candidates from endpoints. point gives me another candidate. I know I'm looking between 1 and 4. Looking in this window. So the first half of these I put graphs on, and the second half I did not put graphs on. So you gotta get used to both. And like the calculus is done. You're literally just plugging in now to the equation and picking out the biggest and smallest line. One, 5. Plug in 2. 6. I plug in 4. I get 2. So that's your absolute max. And that's your absolute min. So 1.5 is just like, it wasn't the biggest or the smallest, so like, who cares? You're not even important. So you would have to put it in. All I'm asking is for like the biggest and the smallest. Fair enough? I'll try one lot of graph. I don't know if the graph even matters to you or not. Alright. So there's no test before break, but there's con. You guys probably got overloaded with con, yeah. Bless you. Did you seriously, man? Who said that? Zach or Chuck? Zach. You stood them all? Was it a lot or not too bad? Not too bad. Monday was glorious when I woke up. It was such a good feeling. Oh, really? Does anybody swim? Zach Geico still, does you guys still have practice? And Zach said that he made it like longer because he had more time. Yeah. Now we can practice till 10 o'clock. So you were already here when you found out? There's one more topic on the con that we haven't discussed. It's really similar to this, but we'll do it tomorrow. The rest of it you should be. I think it'll be easy, but I think you're prepared for them. I've heard that before. So there's a different way. So I would say, maybe I screwed up with my phrasing. I would say that the bottom ones are critical X values, but they're not critical points because you end up getting 0 on the bottom, so it's not really a point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. So that might be my fault for kind of phrasing it wrong. Does that make sense at least? Sorry if I led you astray.